I am Balaram Nayak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am going to discuss about the introduction of second law of thermodynamics, which is comes due to the various limitations of first law of thermodynamics, and to clarify the limitations or drawbacks of first law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics comes up. So what are the limitations of first law of thermodynamics? If you see, there are various limitations which cannot explain by first law of thermodynamics. What are these limitations? I have already written here. You see, first law of thermodynamics does not explain why the chemical reactions do not proceed for completion. That means the first law of thermodynamics cannot explain how a chemical reaction complete or regarding the completion about a chemical reaction. Secondly, first law of thermodynamics cannot explain why the natural processes or spontaneous processes are unidirectional. That means the spontaneous processes, why not reversible in nature, that is one-way direction or unidirectional in nature. And thirdly, it does not explain about the source of heat and direction of flow of heat in a system, in which direction the heat flows. It cannot explain. And we know generally all the forms of energy may changes into another form, but it does not define the extent of convertibility of one form of energy to another form. That's a limitation. And lastly, it is a contradict of existence of a heat engine of 100% efficiency. It cannot explain about the existence of such heat engine which has 100% efficiency. Okay, these are the limitations which are coming from the first law of thermodynamics. And after that, first law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics introduced. So second law of thermodynamics, what it states about. Now come to the point, statement of the second law of thermodynamics. What is the second statement of the second law of thermodynamics? Various chemists, they explain or they offers the statement of second law of thermodynamics. The statement of second law of thermodynamics, what it tells about. Second law of thermodynamics states that work can always be completely converted into heat, but cannot be completely converted into work without leaving a permanent change in a system. Okay, only a fraction of heat can be converted into useful work. All the amount of the heat cannot be converted into useful work. Just a fraction of heat can change into useful work, which is called the efficiency of a heat engine. Okay, now I am going to explain or calculate the efficiency of a heat engine. Okay, now we can explain about the efficiency of a heat engine by second law of thermodynamics. We know the fraction of heat exerted by an engine which can be converted into work gives the efficiency of engine. That means the efficiency of a heat engine means the fraction of heat absorbed by an engine which can be converted into useful work. Okay, and mathematically the efficiency of a heat engine is represented by the symbol eta. Okay, and mathematically eta equal to W by Q2, and W is the work done by the system, and Q2 is the amount of heat absorbed at higher temperature T2. Okay, But we know according to first law of thermodynamics, net work done by the system W equal to Q2 minus Q1. Q2 is the amount of heat absorbed at a higher temperature T2 and Q1 is the amount of heat absorbed at the lower temperature T1. Okay, so the efficiency of a heat engine, that is W by Q2 equal to Q2 minus Q1 by Q2, because W equal to Q2 minus Q1, and if we simplify, it becomes Q2 by Q2 equal to 1 minus Q1 by Q2. Okay, and then as Q1 is the amount of heat absorbed at lower temperature and Q2 is the amount of heat absorbed at a higher temperature, so that we can write the efficiency of heat engine, that is eta equal to, we write Q2 minus Q1 by Q2. Okay, so we can write eta is equal to T2 minus T1 divided by T2. That implies eta is equal to 1 minus T1 by T2. Okay, the efficiency of a heat engine is equal to 1 minus Q1 by Q2, or in the term of a temperature we can also write eta is equal to 1 minus T1 by T2. That means the lower temperature by higher temperature. Okay, now this is an important term, that is Carnot cycle. The French chemist Carnot explained the maximum conversion of heat energy which is converted to useful work, and this conversion of maximum heat energy into useful work, French chemist Carnot take a reversible cycle by which he demonstrates the maximum conversion of heat energy into useful work, and that reversible cycle by which the maximum conversion of heat energy can changes into useful work can be demonstrated, called as a Carnot cycle. Okay, Carnot takes 1 mole of an ideal gas under isothermal and adiabatic expansion and compression, and he explained the reversible changes of the heat energy into work by taking 4 strokes or 4 stages. In the first, you see here, this is the stroke 1, stroke 2, stroke 3, stroke 4, and first see the first stroke or isothermal expansion of the ideal gas. Okay, now see the first phase or stroke 1 of Carnot cycle, that is the isothermal expansion of the ideal gas. Okay, suppose the gas is allowed to expand reversibly at constant temperature due to the isothermal expansion, that is T2, and during this process let the volume changes from V1 to V2. In the figure you see that is V1 represented at the point A and V2 is the volume represented at the point B. So during this isothermal expansion of the ideal gas, the volume changes from V1 to V2, and we know in isothermal process the change in internal energy del U equal to 0. So we know from according to first law of thermodynamics, del U equal to Q minus W, and if the value of del U equal to 0, so that Q equal to W. Okay, and here the amount of heat absorbed let Q2 and the amount of work done, that is W1. So the amount of heat absorbed in the stroke 1 or during the isothermal expansion of the ideal gas, that is Q2 equal to W1 equal to RT2 ln V2 by V1. Volume changes from V1 to V2 and the constant temperature here T2. So the net heat absorbed during the stroke 1 or phase 1, that means in the isothermal expansion of the ideal gas, Q2 equal to W1 or that is equal to RT2 ln V2 by V1. Okay. Now comes to the second phase or stroke 2, that is the adiabatic expansion. In the second phase or stroke 2, let the gas is allowed to expand reversibly and adiabatically from the volume V2 to volume V3. V2 is the volume represented at the point B and V3 is the volume which is represented at the point C. Now as the gas is adiabatically expanded, so no heat is absorbed by the system. Okay, due to the adiabatic expansion of the gas, so no heat is absorbed by the system, hence Q equal to 0. So according to first law of thermodynamics, del U equal to Q minus W, as Q equal to 0, so the change in internal energy equal to minus W. But we know the heat capacity of the system at constant volume, that is Cv, equal to del U by del T at constant V or volume. So del U equal to Cv del T. Okay, but we know del U equal to minus W. That implies Cv del T equal to minus W or W equal to minus Cv del T. Okay. Now suppose the amount of work done in the second phase or stroke 2, that means in the adiabatic expansion of the ideal gas, suppose that is W2. So W2 equal to minus Cv del T, that means minus Cv del T means change in temperature, that is T1 to T2. So we can write the amount of work done in the stroke 2 or second phase of a Carnot cycle, that is Cv T2 minus T1. Okay. So, now comes to the stroke 3 or phase 3 of Carnot cycle. Okay, this is the isothermal expansion, isothermal compression of the ideal gas in stroke 3 or the phase 3 of Carnot cycle. Isothermal compression takes place and the gas is subjected to reversibly and isothermally compressed let at lower temperature, that is T1, and in stroke 3 the volume decreases from V3 to V4. Again, as this process is isothermally compression, so the change in internal energy del U equal to 0. So according to first law of thermodynamics, del U equal to Q minus W, and Q is here minus W, or the amount of heat absorbed by the system is equal to the negative work done on the system. Due to the work done on the system, the work done is taken as in negative sign. So Q equal to minus W. And if Q1 is the heat given out from the system, at lower temperature T1 and work done on the system, suppose W3 in the stroke 3 of Carnot cycle, then W3 equal to negative of amount of heat absorbed, that is equal to RT1 ln V4 by V3. Okay, the amount of work done on the system in stroke 3 due to isothermal compression of the ideal gas, that is equal to RT1 ln V4 by V3. Okay, now the stroke 4 or the final phase of the Carnot cycle, that is under adiabatic compression. Now the gas is allowed to reversibly compressed and the gas is restored to its original volume, that is V1, and at the temperature T2, and then the gas is adiabatically compressed, hence the work done on the system is given by a negative sign. But according to first law of thermodynamics, del U equal to Q minus W and del U equal to Q minus of minus W, as the it is under adiabatic compression. So del U equal to Q plus W. But as the condition here, adiabatic condition is employed, so the amount of heat absorbed by the system, that is Q equal to 0. So we can write del U equal to W. Hence, according to second law of thermodynamics, the amount of work done, that is equal to Cv T2 minus T1 or Cv del T. So the work done on the system in stroke 4, that is equal to minus Cv T2 minus T1. Okay. Now by using the total amount of work done for a reversible changes of heat into work done, then we can calculate the total amount of work done in a reversible changes. That can be calculated. The net work done of the reversible cycle is equal to the sum of total work done uh, in 4 different strokes or phases in the reversible cycle, and that is W1, W2, W3 and W4. So net work done W equal to W1 plus W2 minus W3 minus W4, that due to the work done on the system, and that due to the isothermal and adiabatic compression of the ideal gas. And if we putting the values of W1, W2, W3, W4, then we get this, and here W1 is the T2 ln V2 by V1. Similarly, W2 Cv del T by T2 minus T1, and W3 are T1 ln V4 by V3, and W4 Cv T2 minus T1. And these terms cancel, and so we get net work done W equal to RT2 ln V2 by V1 minus RT1 ln V4 by V3. But according to adiabatic expansion of an ideal gas, we can get these two relations, that is Cv ln T2 by T1 equal to R ln V3 by V1, and Cv ln T2 by T1 equal to R ln V4 by V1. And if we compare these two relations, then Cv ln T2 in both the relation in left hand side equal, so that the right hand side becomes identical. So R ln V3 by V2 equal to R ln V4 by V1, or very simple, we can write V3 by V2 equal to V4 by V1, and then if we solve this, so V3 by V4 equal to V2 by V1. Okay, if we put this value of V3 by V4 equal to V2 by V1 in the total work done, then we get W equal to RT2 ln V2 by V1 minus RT1 ln, in the place of V4 by V3 we can write V2 by V1. So the net work done W equal to RT2 ln V2 by V1 minus RT1 ln V2 by V1. And if you take the common R ln V2 by V1, then we get net work done W equal to R ln V2 by V1 whole into T2 minus T1. But we know the efficiency of a heat engine, which is equal to W by Q2, the amount of work done by the amount of heat absorbed, and W is the net work done is the R ln V2 by V1 whole into T2 minus T1 divided by Q2 is the second amount of heat absorbed, the amount of heat absorbed in the stroke 2, that is RT2 ln V2 by V1, and R ln V2 by V1 cancel. So we get the efficiency of heat engine, that is eta equal to T2 minus T1 whole divided by T2. Okay, that's about the Carnot cycle. Now I am going to explain the Carnot theorem. That's one important part in second law of thermodynamics. What states Carnot theorem? According to the Carnot theorem, all the reversible heat engine working between same two temperature of the source and the sink have the same efficiency. Carnot theorem states all the reversible heat engine working between the same two temperature at the source and the sink have the same efficiency. In another way, Carnot theorem also stated that the efficiency of an irreversible Carnot cycle is always greater than any reversible or cyclic process between the same temperature. And we can mathematically explain the this theorem, Carnot theorem, and the statement can be verified mathematically, that is the efficiency of an irreversible Carnot cycle is always greater than from the efficiency of any other cyclic or reversible process between the same temperature. Okay, let's consider there are two heat engines, and we suppose the heat engine A is a reversible heat engine and the heat engine B is a irreversible heat engine, and both are connected same source at the temperature T1 and same sink at the temperature T2, and as the heat engine A and B are different, so they absorb different amount of heat. Okay, and but they produce same work done. They absorb different amount of heat, but they produce same work done. That is W. W is the work done by both the heat engine A and B, but the amount of heat absorbed by the reversible heat engine A is Q2 equal to Q1 minus W, and the amount of work done produced by the irreversible heat engine B is Q2 prime equal to Q1 prime minus W. Now, according to Carnot theorem, the efficiency of the irreversible heat engine B is greater than from the efficiency of the reversible heat engine A. That means eta B greater than eta A. We have to prove and verify QB greater than eta B greater than eta A. That means the efficiency of the irreversible heat engine B is greater than from the efficiency of the reversible heat engine A. Okay. Now prove. Now we have to calculate the value of efficiency of the irreversible heat engine B and the reversible heat engine A. Now look at my point. First, for the reversible heat engine A. For the reversible heat engine, it is assumed that Q1 amount of heat absorbed from the source and which produces the work done, that is W reversible. Okay, and the amount of heat reject, that is equal to Q1 minus W, and that is equal to Q2. Okay, so the efficiency of the reversible heat engine, that is eta A equal to W reversible by Q1. We know work done by the amount of heat absorbed, that is your efficiency. Similarly, for the irreversible heat engine B, the let Q1 amount of heat from the source which performs the work, that is W irreversible. So the amount, suppose amount of heat rejects to the sink, that is equal to Q1 prime minus W. So the efficiency of the irreversible heat engine, that is eta B equal to work done in the irreversible heat engine, that is W irreversible by Q1 prime. And now if it is supposed to be eta B greater than eta A, then we can write W irreversible by Q1 prime greater than W reversible by Q1. And as to the theorem of Carnot, it states that two different heat engines absorb different amount of heat, but they perform same work done. So the reversible work done is equal to the irreversible work done, that is equal to W irreversible equal to W reversible. So we can write 1 by Q1 prime greater than 1 by Q1. That implies we can also write Q1 greater than Q1 prime. Okay, that means the amount of heat absorbed by the reversible heat engine is greater than from the amount of heat absorbed by the irreversible heat engine. Q1 is the amount of heat absorbed by the reversible heat engine, and Q1 prime is the amount of heat absorbed by the irreversible heat engine. And if the amount of heat absorbed by a reversible heat engine is greater than from the heat absorbed by irreversible heat engine, then we can write eta B greater than eta A. That means the efficiency of the irreversible heat engine B greater than the efficiency of the reversible heat engine A. Okay, hence Carnot theorem can be proved. Okay, thank you.